Today's practice is a 25-minute practice working on your second chakra. Now that is developing some strength and stability in your hips and also some release. It allows you to go with the ebb and flow of your life, and if you've been doing a lot of sitting, maybe for your work or as part of your daily life, you'll find that maybe you've got a little bit tense, not quite as comfortable in your hips, and so today's practice will really help with that. Let me just close the door, waiting for the cat maybe to come. All right, we're going to need a block and anything else that you might like to have on the mat to give you some extra support. So we're going to start seated. Now it's not always the best place for everyone to come to, but we're going to come into Virasana or hero pose. Now I'm going to invite you maybe to put a blanket down as well if your feet are a little sore, so you can actually sit back down like this with the tops of your feet on the blanket and your toes off. You might like to have a block underneath your hips to give you a bit of height, and you also might like to have another blanket or block underneath your thighs on top of your calves and just give your knees a little bit more room. So we're just going to start here gently, feeling into our breath. You might like to turn your hands up and take the mudra of holding the first finger and the thumb together, or just simply have your hands down or somewhere that feels comfortable. If this completely doesn't feel comfortable for you, just sit with your legs extended. Begin to focus on your breath, but let the shoulders relax away from your ears. Seem to have quite a lot of darkness on me today. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Let's see if we can just change the lighting a little. Sorry about this. That's better when I'm closer. All right, maybe the lighting behind me is not right. All right, keep going with this. It's a bright sunny day. All right. So just gently draw your chin and ears back, let the shoulders relax away from your ears. Take the mudra if you wish to. And just begin to breathe, noticing the breath on the back of your throat. Maybe sighing out a couple of times. And now come into breathing in and out of your nostrils. Gently flow forward until your hands are on the floor, and make yourself around until you're on your mat. Have the blanket under your knees if you'd like, or simply move it to the side. And come into hands and knees, tabletop. So worried about the lighting. Sorry about this. Just put this down a little further. Maybe change the direction of the... Does that work? Sorry. Just change the direction of the lines. Maybe that's a little bit better. All right. Come into tabletop and gently begin to circle your hips. So you've got your shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees, and you're gently coming into this position, allowing yourself to circle around. Let's go around once more. Come back to neutral and take the movement the other way. Sitting back down towards your heels, taking yourself to one side, the front, the other side, back to the heels.
once more around. Come back to neutral spine. Make sure your fingers are spread wide, tuck your toes under, and let's press back up for a downward facing dog. Keep the knees bent as you feel able. Maybe walk the dog. Maybe exaggerating the move so the hips are going from side to side. Come back to stillness, even up the pressure on your hands, press the ground away. Lifting up the leg furthest away from me, bring it up into the air and bring it all the way forward, coming into a low lunge, back knee down and resting forward on that front thigh, come into a bound position. Come upright now, hands down beside you. Allow the thumbs to rotate away from the torso, away from the legs. And when you're ready, bring the hands up, gazing up between the hands if that feels available, looking up to the top of the wall in front of you. Bring your hands down back to that thigh and reach around for your block. You may find it handy for you. Not sure which side works best for you. I've got quite long arms, but work that front foot forward until you're able to bring the toe up. So resting gently on your fingertips or the palms, whatever feels best. Come into that half splits position. Now gently work that foot back, coming into the lunge position, low lunge, hands to the front thigh, bring your hands to the ear. Gently bring your hands down to the ground, lift up the back knee and step all the way back to downward facing dog. This time pick up the leg closest to me, reach it up behind you, press against the wall if it's there, and then bring it all the way forward, coming into low lunge, making your way there however you need to, starting with the low bow, forearms on that front thigh. Bring the torso upright and let the hands come away from the knee, fingers pointing down, thumbs rotating away from the legs. And when you're ready, reaching up into the sky, gazing between the hands. Allow the shoulders to release away from the ears. Chin and ears float back. Belly button drawn up towards the spine. Now bring your hands down to the ground, again taking that block wherever it feels most useful and working that front foot forward, coming into half splits or runner's lunge, lifting up the toes, letting the hamstrings have a really good stretch here, keeping the hips in line. Couple more breaths. Now roll forward and work that foot back, coming into the low lunge. Both hands to the front thigh and both hands to the ear when you feel ready. Pressing down strongly with the back knee. Gazing up if it's available. Release your hands to the floor. Come on down. Both hands to the floor. Lift up the back knee. Come into downward facing dog. Look to your hands and lightly step the way forward, coming into a forward fold. Hands to shins. Halfway lift. Breathe out and fold. Bend your knees and sweep your hands all the way up above your head. Coming down with hands in front of you, resting in prayer hands in front of your chest. Release that pose and come around to face the camera or the screen. Bring your feet quite wide And turn your toes out. Thanks for those who were making some comments. Nice to see you. Come into the position where you can take a squat. We're coming into goddess. Might see my Instagram post from today if you're watching this live. It's coming out about before 7:30 tonight. Talking about goddess pose, using the feminine in our systems. Of course, we've got feminine and masculine. Often we do sun salutations, taking the masculine sun brightness. Or come into the squat. Yes, I'm going to tell you a story while you're here. Often we use this pose in the feminine or the moon sequence salutation, because it comes from the more feminine part of our body. So we're allowing openness, flow. You can bring your hands out, come into cactus if you want to, checking in with your back, drawing the belly button in, locking those muscles up towards the belly button, drawing the tailbone down. How are you going? You're going great. Okay, really, let's squish our legs straight and reach right up. Maybe I've got the room lights on. I'm having trouble with the lighting today. All right, let's come on back down to goddess. You're doing well. All right, check that your knees, mine wasn't really tracking over your toes. Sometimes they can roll in. You're trying to get alignment between the ankle and the knee. Forget about the arms if it feels like it's too much, or come into the arms if you're ready to be open a little more. Take a breath in and reach up. And bring your hands to your hips now. Turn your feet so the outside edges are parallel with the short edges of your mat. Going to roll the shoulders up towards our ears and look to the top of the wall in front of you, ready to take a forward fold. Hands can slide down your legs, they can come to the floor. Just make any adjustments. If you've got your block, you can also bring your hands to the block if that feels better. Allow the torso to drape forward. You can place your hands on your sacrum, which is just at the back, maybe where the top of your pants are, where your belt might be. Clasp your hands together, release the pointing finger, and begin to lift your hands off your back if that feels available to you, drawing the shoulder blades together. Lengthening through the hamstrings. Release the hands back to the hips. Bend the knees. Press yourself upright. All right. Turn your left toes towards the long edge of the mat and begin to come into a high lunge. So turn these back toes around a little if they feel like they need it. Get yourself solid and stable. Bring your torso upright. Coming into warrior two when you're ready. Hands at shoulder height, arms at shoulder height. Gazing through the front fingers, which are these ones here. Take some full deep breaths. Place the back hand on the back thigh and turn the front hand up. Leaving the legs where they are, reach up, and you can gaze up if that feels okay. Humble warrior, reverse warrior. Remember to be in the flow. Realise that we like the tides, that we ebb and flow. Nice work. Come on back down to warrior two. And bring your hands back to your hips. Pivot your feet around so that both pointing towards the screen, and now turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. Bring the other toes back round. Bring your torso back, upright. Floating up from the hips, allowing this front knee to bend generously, making any adjustments you need to. And let the hands float away from the shoulders. Chin and ears float back. Imagine there's a string drawing you up towards the ceiling, allowing the freedom of your spine in this position. Tailbone moves down as if it was moving down towards the floor. Bit yoga-y, I know, but thinking about the length of your spine, the tailbone drawing down. All right, back hand on back thigh. Turn the front hand up and leave the legs where they are as you reach up. Gaze can gaze up as well. All right, and come on back down to warrior two. This time bring your hands to your hips, and you're going to pivot right around on these back toes until you're in a high lunge. So you might need to, I moved this foot out a little bit, so make sure your feet are wide enough. Remember, generous bend in the front leg. Bring your hands into the ear. Now fold all the way forward to bring your hands down to the floor to step back to downward facing dog. Lift up the leg closest to me. Stretch it away. Now you're going to come into a high lunge on this side, bringing your hands up to the front thigh, and bring your hands up into the air when you're ready. Generous bend in the front leg. Feel the ebb and flow of your breath. Know that your energy ebbs and flows, your sleep patterns, your awake patterns. Float on down to the ground now, stepping back for the last time into downward facing dog. Allow the spine to lengthen here. Press the ground away. Press your shoulders away, press your hips away. Now look to your hands and release the knees to the floor, coming into a child's pose. Big toes together, knees out wide. Bring yourself down to the ground. You can leave your hands out long, put them by your side. You can rest your head on your block. Again, draw the tailbone down towards your heels, down towards the ground. Move your hands underneath your shoulders, come up to table and bring yourself around so you're sitting up tall on the mat. You might like to sit on your block or your folded blanket. I think I'll go for the blanket today. Come and sit with your legs upright, or out long, sorry, and you're sitting upright. Squidge yourself forward, technical yoga term, until you feel like you're sitting with your hips tilted a little forward. Roll the inner thigh down, the outer thigh up, inner thigh down, outer thigh up. Sit up tall. Now you might like to put the block in between your legs. There, that may be best there. That so actually got some action going on in, squeeze in through your calves, toes pointing up, shoulders relaxed. You're going to walk your fingertips forward, coming into a seated forward fold, gazing at your toes until you can go no further and you can gaze down, roll yourself down. Wherever you are, if you're close to your toes, you can of course put your two peace fingers around your big toes. Or if that feels super easy, you can wrap your hands around your feet and hold on to the wrist. Or simply leave your hands on your legs. Take an in-breath. Bring your hands back to your legs and walk your hands back, coming back upright. Nice work. Take the block away if you've been using it. And bring the soles of your feet together. Baddha Konasana. cobbler's pose. Now, if you find this quite hard, if you've got a couple of blocks or blankets, you can pop one underneath, because we want to be feeling like we're stretching in here without gripping too much. So a block or something in here just gives you the opportunity to rest a little more if this doesn't feel very restful. Of course, if your legs are flopped all the way down, I invite you to try and bring them off the ground a little, okay, to strengthen the inner thighs. You might find that you've got exceptionally flexible inner thighs and you want to bring some strength back, so you want to be bringing a little bit of tension into here. All right, and of course, do feel free to hold on if it feels like you need to have a little bit more support. Check that your shoulders away from your ears. Oh, it is nice, thank you for commenting. Nice to have you along. And gently bring your knees together using your hands. Stretch your legs out long. Take a moment. Where are we up to? Perfect. All right, I'm just going to lie down on the mat for one more move before it's time for Shavasana. So bring yourself down onto the mat, onto your back, feet on the floor, knees in the air. And just bring one knee at a time up towards you. And gently squeeze your knees in and draw them apart. Now, if this feels okay, stay here. Or if you feel like happy baby's available to you, get those peace fingers out. Bring your hands to the inside of your knees and bring your feet up into the air. So bringing yourself into a little bit of movement if that feels good. Of course, if you've just got your feet in the air, still bring some movement if that feels okay. We often think about our centers of chakra, of the patterns of our body from the front, but of course we've got two sides, well in fact four probably, front, back and either side, left and right. So feel free to just come into this position as you feel ready. Come back to centre, stop the movement, draw your hands around both knees, both shins, bring yourself up and release. Breathe in and squeeze up and release. And last time, breathe in and release. Let one leg go long, let the other leg go long, and take any position that feels good for you. Coming into Shavasana, you may like to lie on your back, you may prefer to sit up. When you feel comfortable, take another couple of wriggles to get 10% more comfortable. And bring your attention to your breath. As you breathe in, notice how your belly rises and falls. It may only be in your mind's eye that happens, but begin to invite yourself to breathe down into the base of your lungs, making the diaphragm move. And now let go of any direction for your breath, just let it flow in its natural rhythm as you come into resting for the next quiet minute. Gently begin to focus on your breath again. Taking some deep, fuller breaths. breaths as you begin to move fingers and toes. Stretch out, crunch up, whatever feels good for you. Bring movement into your body and gently roll to one side or the other. Take a moment here, allowing the body to readjust to a new position before using the strength of both hands and arms, stretching the top leg and to a comfortable seated position. Flutter your eyelids open. May you ebb and flow with the rhythms of your life. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing you another time. Join us again. Namaste.